Is that Regina who's our host today?
Yes.
Hi, Regina. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Regina.
Welcome. I'm also recording on our end as well.
Perfect. We'll have it back up. Well, I think we'll get started, and if you other people join us, that would be good. Let's see here. Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, rather. Thank you for joining us for our September quarterly meeting at the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind of the Rehabilitation Council. My name is Deanne Elliott, and I'm the chair, and today is September 7th, 2022. Our meeting is being recorded, and I wanted to introduce you to our host, Regina DiMarzo. Thank you, Regina. And if anyone has any technical difficulties, please reach out to Regina and she'll be happy to. I hope everyone had a nice summer. It went very fast in my view. And now we're here into the fall already. I hope your Labor Day was safe and relaxing. We're holding this meeting today by Zoom. I think you may remember that at our June meeting, we weren't sure how our meetings would proceed for the following year because there was an extension to the open meeting law due to the coronavirus, and it was set to expire on July 15th. But that has been extended. So our meeting is entirely virtual today and probably will be so in December and March as well. And then we'll need to decide at that point if we return to an in-person meeting at 600 Washington Street, or if we do some hybrid combination. Commissioner, can you tell us kind of what MCB stance is on meetings these days? Are you looking to do something hybrid for some of your other meetings, or are you still sticking with the remote format?
Yeah, good question. So we're observing the executive order extension, which, as you indicated, it's been extended till next spring. So I think there's two types of things. Like meetings like this in the SAB are a little bit different than like a stakeholder meeting where we're, it's like a different dynamic. So I think there's two types of things. So like those types of meetings where there's heavy public interaction, to me, I think you need to make it like a TV show type of arrangement where there's multiple cameras, multiple microphones, everybody's kind of connected, viewing the thing like as a quote unquote channel. You know what I mean? Less of a traditional meeting and more of a show. Because I think that's what people have come to expect during COVID with the level of sophistication with Zoom and everything else. But when it comes to these types of meetings, and again, these, I mean, the statutorily mandated and the regulatory types of meetings, I think you need to be as open as possible. So, people could be joining us by phone right now, or however, really whatever you can do to convey the information. It's more of a, they're less participatory by nature by the public. So, you know what I mean? So I think that's like, I think it's different things for different meetings styles.
Okay. This style has worked so well for us. I just
Oh
feel
yeah,
like
think of how many more people have joined.
I know.
When we were in the conference room downstairs, how many outside visitors did we have?
Never. You could count them on the fingers of your hand over a period of a year.
Right.
So
and
this
so
has really
now
been
we get
exciting.
all this great participation. So you don't want to lose that.
Yeah. I think especially for folks who are blind, and we have a blind majority board. I know I don't drive, so I'm taking an Uber, and I'm lucky because I just live in Cambridge. Some people are coming from a much farther distance, and we want to have that geographic representation too. So it's been really helpful.
Yeah. So again, just to agree, we don't want to lose all of the good stuff that we've developed during COVID.
Yeah.
Zoom and everything else, because it breaks down barriers. We don't want to lose that. So, but how do you keep it so you can still do the in-person as well, because there's value in that too. So I think that's what we're striving for. Like, I'll give you an example. We're going to be doing a all staff meeting coming up where we're going to try to blend together the best of in-person and virtual, kind of fusing the two together. So
Mhm.
we're trying, as I think many organizations are, to figure out what the right balance is.
It's a challenge. Yeah. And we can work together on that for the spring to see what makes sense. I too miss our meetings in person. We've had a bunch of new members join, and there are many RC members I've never met face
Right.
to face. And I think it's good for the conversation when people feel, safe and they feel like they can talk to each other and they have a few minutes to talk before and after the meeting. Kind of social contacts are important too. So we'll have to see what we can come up with. We're going to do a roll call for attendance, and I'm going to ask you if you are an appointed, pardon me, if you are an appointed member or if you are an ex officio member, please unmute yourselves. And Jennifer, may I ask you to go through the list and take our attendance?
Yes. Is everyone able to hear me? I was having trouble being heard on an earlier meeting.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you really well.
A little troubleshooting works well. Okay, so I have not routed my JAWS to my headphones, so you will enjoy the screen reader speech as well as mine. Let me just get to the list. So Jerry Barrier. Rebecca Davis.
Rebecca sent her regrets earlier. She was working on a grant.
Jerry, I don't know if you got me or not. I was a little
Oh,
delayed.
Jerry. Martha Daigle. We know the commissioners here.
Yes. Hi.
I'm here.
Deanne Elliott's here. Naomi Goldberg.
Here.
Okay, welcome. I'm here, Jennifer Harnish. Devin Meyer. Okay, and Deanne, I know you sent.
Evan, you're on mute.
I heard his voice earlier. He is with us.
Oh yeah, hi. I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of like going back to work, but I'm here
It's
right
okay. We see you, Deb.
Welcome, Devin. It's great
Right,
to have
thank
you
you.
here.
Thank you.
now.
And Priscilla.
Miss Priscilla's here. She's on mute.
Okay, so visually we know you're here.
Welcome, Priscilla.
Cheryl Scott.
I am here, Cheryl.
Thank
Good
you, Cheryl.
afternoon.
Brian Switzer.
I'm here.
Brian.
Brian is joining via the phone, it looks like.
Yeah, I apologize. I am on the phone. Hope that worked for you guys.
It's fine.
Fine, we can hear you fine. Philomena.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Philomena, one of
Oh.
our new members as well.
Yep, I spoke to Philomena by phone, and
Okay.
it seems that she is a past employee of Silk, but she retired last year. So that
Okay.
was the reason she hasn't been attending the meeting. So we're going to be working with Silk this fall to find out how they'd like to proceed.
Thank you for following up with her. Jennifer Whitmore. And that's everyone I have on the list.
And how many total did we have from that list? I should have been counting and I
That's
lost
okay.
track.
I'll stop back up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
We have 10 present?
Yes.
Really? Because we have 13 total appointees. Okay, well, that's great. So we do have quorum. We have a new definition of quorum that we're using based on the executive order from May. And that includes both ex officio and the voting members. And it's of those who are present. So of the 13 that we have named in that category, there are 10 here. That's wonderful. So that means I expect a drum roll at this point that we can
The first
vote.
one we've had in a while.
I know, in 2 years. So this is a momentous occasion. I think we ought to, yeah, this is very good.
Part of that's COVID though.
Well, it wasn't really that we didn't, I mean, the people who are appointed typically do attend. I think we've just had some snafus with our appointments and hopefully we're moving beyond that. And
Is Mr.
Yeah.
Jones scheduled to come today?
I sent him an invitation. I hope he can join us.
Regina, had you heard of Mr. Jones?
Hi, this is Inez. He's currently on vacation.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's see. Do we have, as long as we're doing member and guest invitations before we get to the disposition of our minutes, are there some other folks from MCB, for instance, or
Yes.
guests who would like to introduce themselves?
Yes, that would be great. If you'd allow me to, Madam Chair, I would introduce our new Director of Communications, who now has been here, is it 6 weeks, Mike?
Mm.
Michael Saccone. Mike, why don't you say hi to the Rehabilitation Council? Tell us a little bit about
Good
yourself.
afternoon, everyone. How are you? Nice to meet you
Hi.
all.
Welcome, thank you.
I know Dan and I had emailed last week, so it's nice to see you in person. I'm excited to be here.
Mike
Michael,
comes to us
this
from
is
the private sector.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to ask Michael if you could spell your last name, please, for the minutes.
Sure. It is S as in Sam, ACCONE.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Go ahead, Mike. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I came from the, as the commissioner said, the private sector. The past 10 years, I've worked at 2 of the TV stations in Boston. So this is my first delve into state government, and the first month has been exciting. A lot of great things happening here. And I'm happy to be here.
Well, welcome. You're welcome to join us anytime. Just for my own clarification now, are you the new Carla?
I am.
Okay. I'm familiar with the position. And so that's great. We really enjoyed working with Carla, and there were many projects where our paths crossed. So I'm sure we'll be connecting.
Absolutely. Reach out anytime.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
I think
Yes, and then also I know we have presenting today Joey Bouzon. You'll hear from Joey in a bit. But also joining us is Nate Scrocky.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Both of you.
And
Welcome, Joe.
Regina DiMarzo. And Regina has some news. Regina, would you like to tell the group?
Sure, it's a little bit last minute here, but this will be my last RC meeting. I'm actually leaving MCB.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hope you're going on to some new adventures, but we're sorry to lose you.
Not a new executive assistant position, but outside of the Commonwealth.
Oh, well, congratulations on your new placement, and
Thank you.
we've so much enjoyed working with you.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, so we too will miss Miss DiMarzo, but she's got a great opportunity here. So we're supporting her fully and wish her well.
Oh, that's good to hear.
So, but in terms of going forward, how this is going to be coordinated, I would say direct everything to me, and I'm going to do my best internally to make sure all of the administrative functions are taken care of. Mike is going to be indispensable here. Some of Nate's team. Nate is, as you know, he runs our central registry, but he's got some admin functions as well in that unit. So temporarily leaning on them a little bit as well. So we'll get it done
Sure.
internally. But what I would say is direct everything to me,
Okay.
and we'll make sure we get everything routed appropriately.
That would be great. And then you can assign it.
Yes.
As some of the RC members know, and maybe some of them don't, the MCB provides us with some administrative support. And Regina has been helping with that. So, or has been filling that role. So we'll certainly send it to you and then you can delegate it as you see fit.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have Deputy Commissioner Oliveira here?
Deputy Commissioner Oliveira is on vacation, but I
Okay.
spoke with John in great detail about the items that you were hoping to hear from him, particularly like the NIB thing. And
Yeah.
we've got a dashboard for the VR items, and Nate can speak to that as well. Nate has been getting up to speed with Patricia Hart. Is Trish here? I don't know if Trish is here, but with Patricia Hart on all of the ins and outs of the reports that we're doing. And yeah, he's really got a good handle on all the data information.
All right. And do we have other state guests or private guests? Inez, did I hear your voice?
Oh, hi, this is Cheryl Cummings.
Hi, Cheryl. Welcome.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello.
Hi, yes, Deanne, you did. I thought that was enough, but I'm Inez Canada from the Client Assistance Program at the Mass Office on Disability, and I also chair the Statewide Rehabilitation Council for MRC, for the Mass Rehab Commission.
Wonderful. Yeah,
Oh,
there
awesome,
are.
Inez. When did that happen? Good for you. That's great.
Been about a year and a half.
Wow, I didn't realize
Thank you.
that. That's terrific. Yes.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job over there. Inez has been doing a great job.
I didn't realize
and-
you were the chair, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
And we've collaborated on a couple of things and looking to collaborate a little bit more.
Great. Let me know. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. I always appreciate your perspectives.
Thank you.
This is
Did I
Sandy
hit-
Burgess. I'm a guest. I'm sorry, Tiana.
Hey, Sandy. Welcome.
I had to get out of my kitchen and back to the phone so I could talk. Introduce
I
myself.
understand.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Did I hear Sarah had joined us? Sarah Wiles?
Yep, I'm here too. Hi.
Sarah, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Do you have anyone else? Devin, since we have you, would you like to say a few words? I don't want to put you on the spot, but as a new member, is there anything you would like to add? I just wanted to give you the opportunity, but if you don't want to say anything, that's okay too. Or we could circle back to you in December if that makes more sense.
Hi, Deanne, it's Regina. I'm not sure if he's still here. I don't see his name on the list right now.
Okay. Thank you. And so even if Devin has left, if we have 10 for the quorum count, we have enough to vote on our minutes. So with that being said, looking only at our minutes for the June 1st meeting, this was, these were some minutes that I got some comments from John Oliveira. He had asked for a small change because we said that the National Institute for the Blind, National Industries for the Blind was offering a program, and that Randolph Shepherd vendors were interested, and he wanted to clarify that they were interested, but that it was a self-employment program, and it was not a Randolph Shepherd activity. So we can easily make those changes.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
the-
just let me know. I have a report for when we get to that.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that'd be good. So one thing that we did, the recording, I guess, on MCB's end, something, it didn't get transmitted to our secretary this summer. So Jennifer, thank you for the minutes, Jennifer. Jennifer has recreated them from memory, and then she connected with me, and I added a few things from my notes that I remembered. So
Yes, I was away in Denver. I'm sorry I missed that meeting.
yeah, we missed having you here. So hopefully we have captured kind of the essence of it. And for those of you,
But I'm just learning of this. What happened? The recording didn't record properly?
So what I neglected to do is I closed the Zoom before allowing it to upload to my computer.
Okay.
And then I was not able to get a copy of it from MCB.
I was just gonna say, Regina, what happened there? I thought we would have a copy, no?
Sorry, a copy of the last RC.
Yes.
June
Oh,
1st.
I think we should. I can double check.
I'm happy
Yes,
to
thank
email
you.
you again for that.
Yeah.
I
If you-
did have a bit of a recording from my iPhone. I'm trying to do a backup just in case, so I'll have that for today.
Thanks.
Just in
Yeah,
case.
because we like to post them, so
Right.
Yeah, I checked YouTube maybe a month ago and didn't see it there.
okay. Mike,
The other,
Regina, can you work together on that to figure that out?
Sure, I'll actually double check right
Sure.
now. Just give me a couple of minutes and I'll let you know.
Okay,
It's the
thank you.
last meeting in June.
Yes.
June 1st.
All right.
And it would be so good to get them because Nathan Scrocky did a presentation about a new draft of some statistical tables that we wanted to be able to distribute to the RC quarterly at our future meetings. And all of the feedback from the RC was included in that recording. And to the best of my knowledge, we don't have any other notes that captured member feedback. So if we
Nate,
get a copy, that'd be great.
Nate, are you here? How responsive are you to that?
Yeah, I have some notes on it, Deanne, as well, but it's really, I think we left a lot of things that we would discuss further. So
Mhm.
I think just having a conversation between now and December, we can easily pull something together, whatever you guys want to see at this meeting, and we can have it
Yeah.
ready. There should be no issue.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I think
think-
part of it is take a look at the dashboard that Nate has for you today too, so.
And just to drop quickly, the recording of the June 1st meeting is posted on our YouTube account.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back
Okay.
to them then and
Sure. I'll post the link in the comment section right now.
That'd be great. Thank you.
No
All
problem.
right, thanks for
Very
that
good.
clarification. I'm glad we got that.
Yes, that was really good. So we can go back and kind of fill in maybe a few of the spaces, and then we will have that recording for the comments. For the good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll schedule a meeting with the group, Deanne, and we can pull that together.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Jerry, with a comment regarding the minutes.
Yep.
I thought they were very good. I just want to point out that we have John Oliveira's name misspelled. I believe it's Oliveira. Can somebody confirm that?
Yes, that is correct.
Mhm.
Olive IRA is the way you can remember it.
say that
Okay.
again, Commissioner.
Olive IRA. So OLIVEIRA.
Great.
Oh, I like that. Okay, thank you.
John was the one who gave me that, so I took it from him.
It's a good little mnemonic device.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I guess Oliveira though is spelled different ways. Oliveira, some people say it.
Hmm.
A lot of different ways.
Thank you, Jerry. Hello, Lauren. I heard Lauren Lang, the General Counsel,
Yes, Lauren
MCB,
is
join
joined
us.
us.
So
Hi, Lauren.
our minutes can record that she was here as well. So I guess we can entertain a motion to consider the minutes from June 1st.
This is Jerry. Would we want to postpone that until people have had a chance to review the recording that was missing?
I suppose we could do that. We could put that off until our September meeting. Is there a second?
Yeah,
think
is this a second to delay voting until December? Is that what you're asking for a second on?
Was that what you were proposing, Jerry?
Yeah, I just, if we're going to take the time to review the recording and update the minutes, we may as well accept them eventually as they're in their final form.
This is Naomi. I'll second.
Very good. All those in favor of postponing the consideration of the June 1st minutes until after we've had a chance to look at or listen to the recording, please say, I guess we can't, we have to go through a roll call vote because that's part of our open meeting law. Could I ask you, Jennifer, if you would go through the same list of members from our roll call. And if everyone who is a voting member who has an appointment could unmute themselves, we'll quickly go through. An I vote means you are in favor of postponing consideration of the minutes until December 7th, which is when we will meet again. And a nay vote would mean no, you would like to vote on it now, and you can also abstain.
Okay, Jerry?
Aye.
Martha? Okay. Naomi?
Aye.
And me, Jennifer, I'll give an aye. Devin, if he's returned.
Yes, left, I believe.
Okay. And Priscilla.
Priscilla is ex
losing track.
officio, is an MCB
Oh, so
employee.
part of
So-
quorum, but not able to vote? Is that
Yes.
the distinction? Thank you. And Cheryl Scott?
Yes, hello, here.
Okay. And Brian Switzer? Okay, when you unmute, Brian, we'll listen for you. And we know that Philomena is not part of it. Jennifer Whitmore? I don't think was here. And that's all I have.
And me.
And Deanne?
Yes. And I vote yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we will, the ayes have it, and we will consider that in December. Thank you all for your feedback. And thank you again for recreating those minutes, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
I think then we will also take a look at, since we have quorum, we need to take a look at the big long document. This is actually a summary of all of our minutes from the last 2 years, and nothing in here is new. These were each individually submitted at our quarterly meetings over the last period of time. So I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
This is Jerry. I move that we accept the broad minutes from the last 2 years.
Thank you. Is there a second?
This is Cheryl, I second.
Thank you. Seconded by Cheryl. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will do another roll call vote.
Okay.
We're keeping you busy today, Jennifer.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said we're keeping you very busy today.
I'll have the names memorized soon. See, Jennifer, who's not in attendance, Philomena, who's no longer on the group, Brian Switzer, are you here? Okay. Cheryl Scott?
Hello, here.
Yes.
Cheryl's here.
Do you vote in
Oh, sorry.
favor
Yes,
of
I
the
vote
amendment?
to approve.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got lost.
Maybe you were thinking about it. Priscilla? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You correct me on that. Devin, who may have left as well. I will vote yes. Naomi?
I vote yes.
And Martha? And Martha will let you unmute if you're hearing us. And Deanne, while we're waiting.
I vote yes.
All right, so Brian and Martha, we haven't heard from, and Devin, who's left. So where does that put our numbers? Is anyone counting?
I was not.
Okay, let me go back to them then. Okay, we've got.
We
Jerry.
do technically still have quorum, I believe, because if the ex officio count towards quorum.
So I'll go through the names of who said yes. So I have Jerry, Deanne, Naomi, Jennifer, Cheryl, and that's what I have.
Okay. I confess I'm a little rusty because we haven't had a quorum for a while, and to be honest, being a parliamentarian has never been my forte. So if I make an error in my parliamentary procedure, I welcome anyone to step in and correct me. But I think we can count that as a pass because there were no nays and we do have quorum. Correct? Hearing no objection, I'm going to say we have some minutes. And Lauren, if you're on the call still, I will pass the completed minutes to you for your records because Lauren is the record keeper for MTV. And we will get the other minutes to the council in an edited form along with the minutes for this meeting in December.
Okay, this is Lauren. I just want to acknowledge what you said. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. I think we're going to move around our agenda from what was posted. Originally, we had our internship discussion a little bit later after the commissioner and deputy commissioners reports, but I understand that we have a deadline of 2 o'clock for some of our speakers. So we're going to elevate the session on internships higher up, if that is okay with people. We thought that internships would be a very nice topic to cover in our September meeting because summer has just ended. It's kind of a youth focus. And as we were working on the combined state plan this last year, we did want to emphasize and prioritize youth. Not that all of the folks who participate in our internship program are right out of high school or college. I think that's one of the beautiful things about the internship program here at MCB. So we thought it was such a nice program and opportunity that this would be a good time to hear from Joe Buzen, who is the supervisor of employment services here at MCB. Joe has been a frequent speaker here at the RC in the past, but we haven't heard from you for a while. So thank you, Joe, for being willing to come and talk to us today. And did I also hear that we have Jafar?
Good afternoon. Yes.
Jafar Agali, is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, Jafar Ogali.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Jafar. Jafar is one of our recent interns. I understand that you just completed a program this summer. Is that right?
Yes, I was referred by Massachusetts Commission for the Blind for their summer internship program. And I had the honor to work at Carroll Center this summer with the YIT program.
That's great. So what I think I'm going to do is turn the session over to Jennifer, who has helped organize our speakers today. And I will look forward to hearing more about the summer internship program.
Thank you, Deanne. So Joe, I was hoping we could start with you. If you could share, please, with the Rehab Council, the purpose of the internship program and some other highlights that you'd like to share with us.
Of course. Hey, Jennifer. Afternoon, all. Madam Chair, Commissioner, and the entire group. Hope everyone's well. I'm freezing. It's not summer and my hands are cold. I'm very tropical, but good to be with you guys here today. Forgive me, my screen is not on. I have low bandwidth, but Carol Collins, my associate, always tells me nobody needs to see my face. So with that said, our beloved internship program, one of our premier programs at the Commission for the Blind. Always like to talk about it. Anyone who wants to listen, even if they don't want to listen, I'm going to tell you about it. It's one of the best programs in the country. And it started almost 2 decades ago. It's hard to believe. We have many people actually, I think, in this room who are past graduates, individuals that host interns. Good to see you and hear all of you and look at that participants who haven't participated this year. Hopefully you consider hosting an intern next year, and we'll be strategically door knocking in the coming months during the holidays, because that's where we start our internship, right around Thanksgiving, the holiday months, and the new year. because that a majority, but not all, as Madam Chair had mentioned, are college or high school students or mature adults. But our reasoning to start there and then is because a majority of them are on break, they're at home, they are hopefully thinking about their future. And Carol, myself, and the VR counselors, hello, Priscilla, are there to ensure that we meet with them, to pre-screen them, to find out where they are in the rehabilitation process, what their skill sets are. Have they gone to the Carroll Center for the Blind? And really trying to figure out where they are entering the program. It all starts with the VRC, and of course, most important, the consumer and the wraparound services, the suite of services that MC provides, and to see if they're ready. And if they're not ready, at least me and my team get to meet with them so we already can establish a rapport. Because one of the common questions I get is, how are they decided to be in the program? Do they know what's it about? What are the expectations? Is it paid? All those logistical things that are common questions and then great inquiries. And once we meet with them and we work again in conjunction with the VRC, the orientation mobility technology and the village that it truly takes, then we try to figure out this big jigsaw puzzle, this tactile puzzle, if you will, and who goes where and why and when. And do we need to start them perhaps with one of our core partners like MOD or the Carroll Center or Perkins or Human Centered Design or Mass General Hospital? And the list goes on. Is because after all those years, we've been fortunate to continue to foster and develop new relationships throughout the entire Commonwealth and being a model throughout the United States. And a lot of people are really copying and kind of replicating and giving us kind of our flowers, if you will, pertaining how well we're doing here. And then once we figure out where they're going, they have to interview. Maybe competitive. They may not get it. But at least we get that constructive feedback from one of our core companies, letting us know what do they need to improve on? Is it their soft skills? How do they do on Zoom? Do they have a picture of themselves on Zoom? And hopefully my picture meets your expectations for those that can view my picture on the screen. And then kind of other questions that people have posed to me and Jennifer wanted me to really answer is, what are the benefits over the years with this program, right? And kind of what are their roles over the years? I just met with somebody and I mentioned him, and I can mention him because he said, do it far and live. We have his consent. Jimmy Lopez. He spoke at our opening ceremony. He has a great story. He is on our social media. I met with him today in the office. I was on the road today. And he's working at Ernst & Young. Before that, he was at State Street. Before that, he was in B. Mellon, right? In the financial district, making big moves, if you will. Very proud of him. And the key, what I took about it is he wants to pass it forward. But the reason why I met with him, he had a lot of great questions. He said, I'm starting a new job, even though I already had a job, is how can I ask for accommodation? Because during training, I can't see the screen, even though I use Zoom text and all of these things. And he said, can we do Zoom so then he can use his own laptop? He answered his own question, but I was glad to be there as a sounding board. Another question he asked, how can we develop and gain that trust and that morale? Because he wants to be more extroverted. He wants to be out there and continue to network and go out. He's young. He wants to go out and kind of interact with some of his peers. So those are some examples. And other organizations worth mentioning is Harvard University, your local ma and pa shops from the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club, because they want to give back to the community. However, this is not a pity party. And kind of quote our commissioner, we need to pave that path. I'm not going to mess up his quote, right, David? I'll let him say that later. Is this internship really helps people plant the seed and let it blossom. I'm a proud product of the internship program many, many moons ago. But I want to ensure that Javar has his time, answer any Q&A if and when it's appropriate. But those are the highlights that I want to ensure that I covered. Kind of how did the referral start with Priscilla and the VR counselors who are truly important? Then how do we place them? And then how do they interview? And then what does it do for the future for that mature adult, that high school student who eventually maybe do 4 or 5 internships before they actually get their job and shows their diversity on their resume and their repertoire. So with that said, I want to turn it back over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Joe, for that overview. I did have a question for you, actually, and I didn't ask you this in advance, but are there any numbers available on, for example, how many interns over the years have moved into part-time or full-time employment?
Yeah, Jennifer, thanks for that inquiry, because a few years back, we took a deep dive in terms of some of our data. And what the research showed us is what we all heard, right? The staggering statistic is 70% of people who are visually impaired are unemployed. When we took that study, individuals that eventually participate in MCB's internship program are now, it's flipped on its head. 70% of individuals are on track to get gainful employment. And then maybe more important, to start a career like Jimmy, moving from bank to another bank. And then some other stats and statistics on numbers this year bumped up. Even with COVID, we're about what, 60 to 70 interns from Springfield to New Bedford to the North Shore to the South Shore. And we pride ourselves in that because opportunity is not always Boston centric. So hopefully that gives the audience and all of you, the RC, a little flavor of some numbers and some history perspective.
Yes, thank you. Before we go on to hear from Jafar about his experience, does anyone in the meeting have questions for Joe about MCB's internship program?
I hope so, Jennifer. I get stimulated by noise. I am visually impaired and blind. So any questions, let me know.
Don't make me sing. Please ask questions. Okay, well, while we're waiting, Joe, I'd love to hear a little more. I hear a lot about the soft skills training that the commission provides, and from interns who I've spoken with, in preparation for this, they mentioned the soft skills training as a really valuable part of preparing for their internship. And here at the Carroll Center, we're actually using the soft skills training recordings that the commission has available for our VR individuals as well. What have you seen, when you have an individual who, say, is progressing through different internships or who may come with some more challenges in terms of the soft skills? What have you found valuable about the soft skills training? Any specific areas you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for that question, because we do listen, and employers, companies, they're the ones that told us in the infant stages of our internship program, maybe in the first decade, before that, pre-me, they said, hard skills, they have it. We know the students, the people you bring us are talented. However, how about those soft skills? And some of our interns, I always said, what are soft skills? I didn't interchangeable in the interpersonal skills, rather emotional intelligence, call it what you will, your manners, right? My parents, my mom, rest in peace. Make sure you have manners. That's I think what we were missing. And we really implemented that. And I think that's what made the difference. Because soft skills, honestly, what I heard before, the best phrases are borrowed, are no longer soft skills. They're hard skills. I know I'm preaching to the converted to all of you as professionals. And I think because since we've done that, and a lot of interns, we're doing this again. But I think they realize later how important it is. And whether they know it or not, it's something that it's valuable to them. And they're thankful for it after the fact. Because one of the highlights of our program, we have an opening and closing ceremony, and some people in the room are our keynote speakers or part of our panel, and thank you for that, is a lot of when the interns come back, they kind of preach to the current class of how important those skills and MCB showing them or teaching them, and how they just kind of let it marinate and then percolate, and how they're utilizing it now, whether it be dress for success, note taking, kind of pre-COVID, the importance of a handshake because you can't see, and the blind handshake, and the list goes on.
I have a question. I did not realize, thank you, that that a person can do more than one internship, and that you have some frequent flyers who gather a lot of experience, it sounds like, exploring different aspects of a career interest. And I'm wondering, can people somewhat tailor the internship that they do? So if a person like did one internship and they really like working for a particular company, can they say, hey, I'd really like to learn more about such and such a department? Like, would you be able to work with a client to help them find an internship that would sort of zero in on a particular skill area?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you for that question, because if you think about it, the sighted world, if you will, or individuals that go and they work at Market Basket, there's my Somerville accent, right? So if they work as a cashier, and then the next year they work at their mom's job, and then the following year, their junior year, they may work closer to their major. So we welcome and encourage and hope interns do more than one internship with MCB. And then to your second point, I believe, is yes, again, can we tailor it? We do our best, and it may not meet the consumer's expectations. But MCB and I, we challenge the intern, Ash Jafar, hopefully, is we want you and try to find your own internship. And if you can, then you can double dip in that sense, because now you're already, finding your own internship, you're networking, you're putting yourself out there, forgive the pun, you're being visible. It's hard to find your internship. That's why MCB has been so successful. And then when the intern finds their own internship, now MCB indirectly gets a employer partner in our database because of that intern not knowing that they're championing this cause of people with disabilities, diversity, inclusion, and equity, which is so important. But as they continue to mature, or even if they're a mature adult, depending on their situation, we meet the consumer and the talent where they are. We then continue to chisel and hammer away at that person's major or what they're aspiring, and their passion is what they want to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, why don't we transition to hear from Jafar? Jafar was an intern here at the Carroll Center this summer, and so we got to know each other quite well. I was his supervisor and can certainly speak to the high level of skill and knowledge that he brought to this position. Jafar, if you don't mind kind of sharing a little bit about yourself and how you came to be pursuing an internship, and the role that you played in kind of us working together to craft an internship that met your professional and academic interests.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to speak to all of you today. Please let me introduce myself first. My name is Jafar O'Gailey. I recently graduated from Boston University with a degree in psychology. I was working this summer through Massachusetts Commission for the Blind with CCB as an intern. I did many stuff on the ground. The experience of trying to find the best solution, trying to make the students having the best experience while they're there, leaving their families, experimenting new stuff they didn't do before, learning new skills, all caused anxiety for them or caused some level of stress. And that was my main duty on campus. I was working directly with some of the autism clients on campus, especially two. And that experience that I had during last summer have added tremendous knowledge to me, since all the knowledge I had in the past was from books with like no composure to the actual field. But with Jennifer's supervision over some of the clients there, I was able to work and observe directly some of the clients there and interact with them and try to put a plan or develop strategy for each student to achieve their best outcome. The experience of working with autism clients have added to me much knowledge for future jobs or even experience, because basically we have less chances of having like full-time job, permanent job, if we don't have such composure. And that's emphasized how important the work that's been done for by Massachusetts Commission for the Blind through the years, that helped me to really establish a real work experience. I think working with CCB was my third internship with MCB, and it was really great experience. And matter of fact, Joe was talking about percentages earlier, to the 70% of students who were more successful to gain jobs. I was just talking to him recently, just talking to that matter. You can add me, Joe, to that 70%. I had a job interview today. I will have another one for another job tomorrow, and another one the day follows. I'm really honored, and I was really happy to work with such team who is willing to understand the challenge and understand that there's no limits to your abilities, to understand that you can do more than you can imagine, giving you the trust and the push to go further, explore more, add to the students that we were serving during the summer, and gives you also the knowledge and the support to help you wherever and whenever you stop. I really appreciate every time I talk to Jennifer. Jennifer, I don't know what to do in this case. Is this client in this stage or that stage? She always had to respond to advise me with the best possible way to deal with something, which makes me the closest job to my interest, which is psychology, and made me really dig deeper, search more into ABA therapy, and also it gave me the experience for ABA therapy in a way, which also was one of the jobs that I'm interviewing for on Friday. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I think.
Well, thank you, Jafar, for the tremendous amount of work and skills that you contributed. You know, his work, as he said, was focused on two of our young people who were in the autism spectrum and who really benefit from having you know, some of the one-on-one supports to support them in being as successful as possible in the summer program. And Jafar really took his own knowledge and research that he did about working with individuals on the autism spectrum, and then was able to gather information that we had learned from family members, for example, and from one of the individuals, teacher of the visually impaired, as to what methods of, say, behavior management and social skills and handling some of the emotional outbursts, say, that one individual was having. He was able to put those to use and really work well and very closely with, well, both of the individuals that he worked with. So it really did create, you know, a successful program for the individuals involved. And Jafar, wish you the best on those interviews.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Yeah. I'm wondering what questions or additional information that anyone here in the meeting might have for Jafar.
Thank you, Jafar, for sharing that information. It sounds like the Carroll Center really benefited from having your expertise, and it sounds like you were able to learn some things as well.
Thank you so much. Yes, every
And-
time I'm there, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
Every time I've been there, I've been learning something. I've been in the program of Coach Success program, and I in my first year in college, and that helped me tremendously with JAWS and other skills like that, screen readers. Next, the followed year, I joined the work program, and also that gave me a taste of, if you work more hours than just like a couple hours a week or something like that, and you get paid for it, and you get to that feeling of being just when I did that, I was still a teenager, and to have that experience when you're a teenager, especially in a language that's not your first language, that was really, really amazing, so helpful. It made me integrate to that culture. I joined years ago, but unless the person works, they don't really get taste of the culture of working.
Right. You've done a great job. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Jafar, I also wondered if you would share with folks here in the meeting the length of your commute to get to the Carroll Center.
So basically, I need an Uber to get from my home to the commuter rail, and then it's 45 to 50-minute commuting from that. Then I get on the green line, and then it's another half an hour. In total, it's about 2 hours because there's waiting time. And then when I get to Newton Center, it's either 20 minutes walk if it's a nice day, or an Uber or a bus that I have to wait for like 10-20 minutes, depends on my luck. I always did it with like honor, and I always did it, and I was happy that I was doing it. I as I told Jennifer, the commute didn't even matter to me, like how long it takes me. 2 hours and a half it's not a problem anymore, because I was like what I was doing. I was experiencing stuff that I wanted to experience. Jennifer sent the schedule from this hour to this hour, but I always do over those hours, because I see those students might need additional help, or I assist the RAs with their work. So I could never stop working from like 6:30 until 11 or 10 when the kids go to sleep, and I was doing it. Feel like I don't feel tired until I get to the bed.
You've got a great work ethic.
Yeah, on top of things, and I can see that as a very good experience for others in the internship program. I had talked with another individual who was not able to speak today, but one of the points she made is that the commission provided her with some mobility training, more of orientation of getting from her home to her internship site, as well as some technology assistance so that she would be able to manage the requirements of the job in terms of communication of information throughout her internship. And she just wanted me to highlight, the importance of having that to prepare her to be as successful as possible in her internship. And I know she had quite an experience in her role as well. So those supports, I think, are just so valuable where they're needed. I'm wondering if others on the RC or who are on the call have worked with interns at your current or former jobs, organizations that you've been a part of. You can share a little bit about just that general experience. Part of my hope of this is to encourage more employers to consider interviewing potential interns and considering having an intern come to work with them during the internship program.
Hey, Jennifer, this is Priscilla. Can I say something?
Yes, Priscilla, thank you.
Well, just because I've known Jafar for a very long time, I just wanted to say that what Jafar is today and has accomplished thus far is a good testament of a client who is dedicated, willing to learn, and has life goals. Because I met Jafar when he just graduated from high school, and seeing him talking now and having all these experiences is a good testament of the drive that he had, the receptiveness that he had to receiving services from MCB, and the benefit of what that does to our clients. So I just wanted to say that. So clients who take advantage of the services and are dedicated and serious, they always have great outcome. And Jafar is a good testament of that.
That's an honor forever. I will take this forever. Thank you so much. It takes more than only motivation. It needs great people like you to support us to be successful.
Thank you, Priscilla and Jafar. Other questions or comments for Jafar on his experience, or if others have worked with interns? Okay, while you're thinking, I did want to add one thing, which is that as a supervisor of interns and working at an agency that has had interns as part of our programs for a long time, one of the benefits that I have seen is also for our staff. So although I was Jafar's immediate supervisor, we had other interns who were supervised by some of our staff who have had much more limited opportunity to act in a supervisory role. So I would work together with those staff, just for any questions they had about supervising their interns. But one of the things I've noted over the years is that it's also given those individuals, who are employed at the Carroll Center, the opportunity to develop their own managerial skills, for example, and to pass along their own knowledge and experience to individuals who are coming through that same, a similar career pipeline. So that kind of mentoring, for example, that our visually impaired staff have been able to do, as well as just our, any staff here at the center who've acted as a supervisor. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from them on having that experience. So it's really a win-win for everybody who's involved. At least that's what I've experienced over the years.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for putting this together. This has been really educational. And thank you so much, Jafar. It sounds like you've done an outstanding job, and we so much appreciate your taking the time to come talk to us. And we wish you the best on your interviews this week. That's really, really very exciting. So good luck to you. And then I wanted to thank Joseph, and I think that he may have left. He had a time commitment, but he has been doing an outstanding job. And Commissioner, if there is anything that the Rehabilitation Council can do to support Joseph's efforts or MCB's efforts in your internships, please do let us know.
Certainly will. I mean, really, the person who isn't here that deserves, if not more, and Joey, I think will back me up on this, who deserves most of the credit, it's John. It's John Oliveira. You know, he's been this force of nature in this space for the entire existence of the program. So
2:07
p.m. He really deserves a lot of credit.
Yes, shout out to him too. That's amazing. It's very well recognized, the internship program.
It is. It's great, and it's a team effort. I mean, just about everybody gets involved in some way, shape, or form, I think, or at least a large amount of the executive team, Joey's team, and Joey and Carol, the VR counselors. It's a large effort for the agency, but it pays off because it gets good results.
Mhm. Very good. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I think maybe we will conclude this session. Thank you again, everyone. And Commissioner, would you like to tell us something about, I guess you're going to be doing both the Commissioner and the Deputy Commissioner's report?
Sure. Yep. Oh, so you want me to go? Okay.
Oh, would you mind?
Yeah, sure. So we've been making great progress here at MCB in a number of ways. I think we've seen the larger things that we can't control, like coming out of COVID, for example, have been generally trending positively for our consumers and for the work we do. So particularly as it relates to this RC and work. If you've checked in with the Tide produces the first Friday of every month, the report for people with disabilities as it relates to the labor force. So when the unemployment numbers come out, they crunch that data and provide a report for as it impacts people with disabilities. So people with disabilities have generally outpaced, albeit modestly, have generally outpaced the general population in terms of resurgence from COVID. Lately, it's plateaued a bit, but generally, the data is going in the right direction. It's basically reflected in what we've seen at MCB. We've seen a couple of ebbs and flows, but for the most part, generally, what we're seeing is a reopening of the economy. It's providing opportunities for our employees, for our consumers to get employed, and really opportunities in a number of ways. Traditionally, the focus had been on getting people that entry-level work and getting them in the job. Now, really, we've seen a maturation of that, and we've seen mobility. So we have people coming back now that we may have gotten employed 5 years ago that are coming back looking to move up within the workforce. That's very encouraging, that upward mobility. So albeit it's a little anecdotal, we do have some data that supports that. Nate, are you still here? Do you want to bring up that dashboard and we can talk through it? But basically, we've seen closures. We're in a good place. Nate, we just filed our reports. That's going to show gains, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you have anything else to add here, Nate, or you want to, like I said, share the screen and we can read the data.
Yeah, I can share my screen. I can bring up a report. Let's see.
I think this is alluded to what we've talked about previously with the dashboards and, you know, the conversation we all had about. If there's other elements you want, we can talk about that.
Yeah, this is a little bit of what we went over last time we met. As you see, we have total registrations are currently 1,461 year to date. That's how many registrations that we came through a process and have gone out to the regions. That's compared to 1,200 last year. So we're going to probably outpace what we were pre-COVID at where we were at 1,800. I expect that will be up over 2,000 new registrants this year. So that's points back to a lot of the work we've done, Commissioner D'Arcangelo and the rest of the team with advertising and getting the word out about MCB and really letting people know what we do. I think that's paying off, and we're starting to see those numbers kind of turn around now. The second portion that we have here is the registrations and the current inventory. So these are cases that we have in process. So not really much to look at here. As you can see, we have 9 total cases in process. We have 6 that came through either yesterday or earlier today that haven't been QC'd by us yet. And then we have 1 that came through email. And then we have 2 that are out for additional verification. So we're turning around registrations right now within 3 to 5 business days, if not quicker. So that our goal is to, as soon as we get it out to the region so we can start services as quickly as possible. And right now we're at that 3 to 5 day mark with that.
And you can all help us get the message out that we've added to that unit. So because
Yes.
we're trying to address that, we've heard that people, I've called, I've emailed, I can't get a response or whatever. So we're trying to address it by adding new additional employee to that unit.
Yeah, started Monday, so we're very excited about that. Current open SR children cases and SR adult cases. As you see, we have a total of 4,000 open SR cases right now between the children's and adults. Open VR cases, we have 660 VR adults. We have about 200 pre-ets. Those are between 14 and graduation age, depending on when they graduate, and then 21 transition youth. Closed cases so far this year, we've closed 63 children's cases. We've closed close to 1,300 SR adult cases. And so far this fiscal year, so this is just the beginning of July till now, closed VR cases, we've had 13 successful VR cases and 16 non-successful VR cases so far this year. So just those are just ones that kind of landed in the last couple months here. And this is a kind of information we're always looking at, and this is something that we could obviously be happy to continue to share with you. And if there's additional information that you're interested to seeing as a group, we would be happy to add it. And we can talk Deanne and whoever wants to be part of that discussion on what information is available, and we can go from there.
Thank you for sharing those numbers. I think we do want to keep our conversation grounded in part in experience, and then also in part in the numbers. So both are really helpful, and I appreciate that.
Great. Well, we'll chat soon about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so next, really, budget-wise, we're in a really good position, really strong position, actually. If you looked at the governor's budget, we have more money in a number of ways, and we're trying to get assistive technology. The legislature's made it clear that they want us to make an emphasis on assistive technology. So we're going to try to reflect that throughout the whole organization. That will include VR people, although VR people are already very well equipped through MCB technology. So we're in a really good place there. We're pursuing more reallotment projects. There's a few of them that we're going for here. And there's a few others that we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up actually Nate was just speaking. He's the project manager on 2 of them. One of them is the project with New England College of Optometry. The other one is with the Institute for Human-Centered Design. Nate, do you want to touch on those briefly?
Yeah, sure. The project with New England College of Optometry, we're looking at kind of the delta between 20 over 70 and up to legal blindness, and kind of understanding what those demographics look like, how we can better prepare for the numbers that may be coming into our agency, and how to help prevent people from coming into our agency. So looking at some of the diagnoses, some of the etiologies that are involved with that, and just to help us better forecast as an agency for what we're going to need as resources, and what to expect for our registry and what's going to be coming in. The IHCD project is taking a close look at the effects of COVID on the labor market and on folks with visual impairments and how it's affected or helped them. So that project is actually, they're meeting right now as we talk. They're meeting from 2 to 3. So that project will be wrapping up pretty soon as well. And we're actually working on a third additional project with the University of Massachusetts and continuing a project that we did a couple years back, looking at disabilities and the qualifications that come from having a disability, and really how, like, what traits are developed kind of naturally having a disability, and how those traits can be strong points for various employment opportunities. And this part of the project is really looking at different providers, different partners in Massachusetts that are looking to fill positions that match up those qualifications. And UMass has done a really good job of reaching out, kind of understanding the labor market and the needs, and making those connections for us. And that's that project's pretty much wrapped up. They're in the final report phase right now.
Thank you, Nate.
When
Two other
those-
projects. Oh, go ahead.
When those reports are available, would we be able to then share
Absolutely.
them? I
Yeah.
would love to be able to pass those out to members for their
They'll
own
be on our
reference.
website, just like all the others are. But additionally, there's 2 other projects. One is we did a podcast series with the Polis Center. That was great. That's worked out well. That'll be coming out soon. They're just putting the finishing touches on that. And then additionally, a real one that we're really excited about is a project with, the vendor's name is Sleek Machine. And basically we've called it the VR Welcome Kit. And what they've done is really kind of groundbreaking, I think, Nate, right? You've seen it. I mean, so what they've done is essentially, if anybody here has seen like the Myers-Briggs or experienced that, like where there's different types of personality types, that's kind of an approach they've taken, where they've said, all right, all MCB VR consumers are not the same. They're not monolithic. So let's develop various case types. And they've done that. And what they've done is they've suited these introductory video, what would you call it? Like a montage, Nate? I don't know. It's hard to explain. That really speaks to each type. And I think it's going to be very well received, and I think it's going to be very effective. It builds off of work that we've done. It builds off of What's Your Vision. It builds off of, you know, a number of other projects that we've done. So this is, it's really good. And we're pursuing more this year. Those got approved, but I think we have yet to put out the RFRs on the ones that we're contemplating for this year. So I think we need to be mindful of that, and just tell you that we've got a few in the pipeline that we're going to be working on for next year.
Very good. We'll look forward to hearing about those. And are you also accepting consumer feedback? Like, I think there have been some consumer groups that have been interested in contributing some ideas of things that they might like to see explored through one of the reallotment
Yes.
grants.
So, to my understanding, and Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, all of these projects have built into their RFR, built into the very project, that our community, our stakeholders get reached out to. So that's consumers, it's vendors, it's everybody in our larger community. I know Sleek Machine made a very big effort to get input. I know the UMass people that Nate was just talking about, they've made an effort. So that's our goal. Nothing about us without us, is to make sure we're informed on all aspects. So we've tried to do that. We continue to do that. So try to take part. Yeah.
Many of the projects that we've worked on over the last 3 years have involved various communications with consumers and partners, reaching out, whether it was doing a survey or having focus groups. Almost all of them have had that type of thing involved with it.
Thank you.
This is Cheryl. So I want to just ask maybe look at the question a little differently, because I don't know sort of how, I suppose the question is, how are the how are the projects, thank you, how are the reallotment projects identified? And is there a role for consumers to be part of that initial discussion? Because the phrase "nothing without us," I think includes having people who are users of services not just be stakeholders, but also be actively part of the identification of specific projects and those types of things. So that's my question.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one tried and true way. I think we've taken it, we've been in seminars and we've heard and said, hey, maybe that would be a good idea. We've heard it from consumers directly. We've heard it from staff. Some of them are my ideas. Some of them are John's ideas. Some of them are Nate's ideas. Some of them are ideas that we've gleaned from this group or from the SAB or from, so if somebody has an idea, please bring it forward and we'll pursue it.
Well, I hear you, but I mean, this is just a gentle suggestion, that it might be worthwhile to actually, set aside some specific time when consumers are invited in to sit down with whoever is sort of the project identification or development group to talk through what are so that it's a little, it feels like a little more organized, and it ultimately feels like as a consumer we have more of a direct input rather than you're reached out to because you're a consumer and we need stakeholder input. Because I mean, you all just said it. You've got some brilliant people who are consumers who might be able to contribute some ideas. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl. Would that be something that we could do as a town hall?
Perhaps. I mean, I do want to be respectful of the RSA process. So remember, reallotment dollars are dollars that are unused by other states. These are VR dollars that are unused by other states. So yeah, I mean, there's no bad ideas. I bring ideas forward and we could try to do that, but I do want to be, I don't want to speak out of turn. And I'd need to consult with the RSA guide on that to figure out that we're being appropriate within the process.
I think we certainly want to respect all of the RSA and MCB guidelines, and also good ideas can come from all kinds of places, and keeping it really grounded in what's top of mind for consumers could be a win-win for everyone. I'm wondering if you might also very briefly, because we do have some other items on our agenda, if you might address the current status of the telephone system that MTB is implementing. And also, this is a little bit outside of our bounds, but I was wondering if you might speak to the earmark for social rehabilitation training and community services and how that RFR is going.
Yeah, sure, I can address both. So the procurement for the new telecom system is underway. We've done requirements. We've passed those requirements up. Originally, MCB was getting one kind of on our own, and I'm putting that in air quotes, like we were going to do a procurement just as an agency. But then we were notified from EHS IT that other agencies would be also procuring a system. So rather than procure 10 different systems, they said, we're going to do this, we're going to do a procurement where we're going to make sure we have a solution that works for all the agencies. So as a result, then that's delayed things quite a bit, because now we're in line with other agencies. And when I say in line, meaning like other agencies are prioritized over us. So I want to say we're like 4th or 5th out of dozens of agencies that are going to be getting a new system. So it was supposed to have happened by now. It hasn't. We're still months away, if not even longer. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if it would take until early 2023 to get one. So I wish I had more of an update, but We're waiting for the process to work. We've done whatever we can do on our end by providing the requirements. We know we're getting an IVR system, that's integrated voice recognition system. So we know we're going to have a system that has the capacity to not have to use the buttons, to just speak to it. So we know that much. We just don't know when we're going to get it, what it is, when it's going to be installed, all that.
If I could make a recommendation, I guess, on behalf of the RC and of consumers, that I understand that the economies of scale make it, reasonable for many agencies to participate, and, that maybe a dozen or more. If you could just work very, very hard to ensure that whatever system is chosen will meet all of the unique communication needs and will be fully compliant and compatible with the assistive technologies that our consumers are using.
So to our credit, first we were doing that and it was just us. And through my advocacy, Brian Chase, who I don't know if Brian's not here, but Brian is our, he's MCB's liaison, IT liaison in essence. We really advocated that, look, any system that gets procured needs to be accessible for any agency. Forget about just the blindness or the deafness agency or whatever other disability agency. All agencies need to have accessible phone systems. So the good thing is our requirements help build that. Now, the challenge is we're just kind of stuck with all these other agencies. So, I mean, I guess the bright side is that coming to the public in, sometime in 2023 are going to be phone systems for all these agencies that should be eminently more accessible than systems of the past.
I'd love to see some consumer testing. Will there be an opportunity for consumers who are blind to sort of test some of the?
Good question. We put that in our requirements.
Okay, thank you.
So we're hopeful of that because there is customization that can happen with each individual system quite a bit. So I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have a definite answer, because even if we were getting the system installed soon, there's still a whole process to how you roll it out and then train on it and then do all the testing, all that stuff. We've been let known that is all going to take several months just in and of itself. So now regarding the budget, if you want me to go to that.
Briefly, yes.
Yeah.
If you would mind.
So the budget was passed and signed into law. And so the good news is that MCB gets additional money for assistive technology, like I was saying. Now, the challenge is, though, if you read the line item, it's very specific as to what we can use it for. Like, for example, we can't just take that money and go out and hire more employees at MCB with it. No, the legislature has prescribed that money to go, and it says like nonprofit organizations and assistive technology and things like that. So we're going to do our best to make sure it gets to where the legislature wants it to go. So we did put an RFR out. The RFR process has happened and concluded. We are now in process of some back of the house, for lack of a better term, we need to make sure we're doing all of the things appropriately to program the money to make sure it gets to where it needs to get in the way it needs to get there. And there's some stuff like some of it is new, the way we handle the money. Usually the money is just given to and it just shows up into our account. But now that there's language with it, so it kind of changes the way we have to handle the money. And so we're working on some of that behind the scenes stuff now, and we're confident we're going to have it out to vendors sometime soon.
When do you think consumers would be able to actually benefit from the money that was provided by the legislature and the earmark?
They're already benefiting. This is all insider baseball. If you are a consumer, or if you know anybody that needs services, those have never been interrupted. They will not be interrupted. Come and call us so we can get you the services directed to you that we need to get to you. There's never been an interruption. There won't be an interruption. So it should be seamless from the consumer's point of view. This is all back of the house stuff.
Yeah, I thank you. I would like to, just make a recommendation that all of the procedural things get completed in a timely manner as soon as they can be completed. I mean, of course, you have things that you need to complete on your end. I appreciate that. But I think we'd like to avoid situations like we had last year, where the RFR finally gets completed and the money gets flowing to consumers rather late in the fiscal year.
Well, last year was last year the distinction though was the budget was late. This year the budget it was late by only by a couple of weeks. Last year it was late longer than that. That's why the money physically wasn't there, because it wasn't transferred over.
I think we knew that the money was going to be there in the spring, and by the time all the paperwork got done, we were sort of rolling it out in February, March, perhaps, and I made a good effort towards the end. But if we can get that started earlier, that will be so much. I mean, we were so appreciative to the legislator for awarding it, and so I just want our consumers to be able to benefit from it as much as possible. So. Thank you for those updates. And again, if there's anything that the RC can do to either get the word out or to help with the telephone testing, please let us know, because we are here as a resource and would be happy to help. Were there any questions that people had about the updates?
And then I can give the deputy commissioners updates if you'd like.
Yeah, briefly.
So, yeah, again, as we indicated, John, and the numbers show it. John and his team, the VR staff, have been very busy. So we're very pleased with the VR counselors. They've been working hard as we see a reemergence from COVID. People are getting back out there. They're getting interviews, they're getting jobs, they're getting promotions, all good things. Additionally, relative to, I think you had asked in the email, Deanne, to me and John, about an update for the National Industries for the Blind project that we're doing. So that is first of its kind. We've worked with the National Industries for the Blind on an e-commerce platform where they've spent, they being NIB, have spent a great deal of money making their e-commerce solution, which is essentially like the front end, a website that you can go to, and then the back end, both of which are accessible for people with disabilities, and specifically for our consumers who rely on screen reader technology. So this is a first of its kind. We've provided them with consumers, kind of the first, and I put in air quotes, the first class of or cohort of consumers. We started with like 15, and we went, then it narrowed a little to like 6. And then from that 6, 3 ended up going forward and are in some type of process in the program. 1 is ready to go, and 1 is ready to, like, matter of fact, might even be like selling products already on the platform. So it's essentially like, so many people these days in society are selling through eBay or through Amazon, like they have a storefront or they're resellers or something like that. This is a similar type of thing where there's NIB products and there's Ability One products that our consumers now have an accessible e-commerce platform with which to market from. So we're really excited about it. It's new. Again, nobody else is doing this anywhere. So we keep supporting our consumer, and NIB has supported the consumer too. So we're just trying to continue to foster it along. We're learning as we go. And I hope for the future, this is a big trend, because I think there's a lot of upside here.
Thank you. So when was the first, I'm sorry, I missed it. The first graduation of the first cohort was when?
Yeah, I don't think it was an official graduation, but we've started this. We started it in like February or March. Actually, we started even talking about it last year at this time.
But one cohort is completely finished.
Well,
correct?
So they're in various stages right now. So one has completely finished and is kind of, on their own, like selling products, if you will. The other 2 are in various states of the program, if you will, because basically what it is it's you know, we're teaching people to do multiple things. One is the accessibility piece, but the other is the marketing piece as well. So the consumer who's now at the end came from a marketing background, so they really understood that and were familiar with it and had good skill set in that area to begin with. So then it was more about, hey, here's how you use our platform and the tools and all that. Whereas the others, we've had to teach them both. We've had to teach them, here's how you use the platform, but here's how you do marketing also. And here's the concept. Here's, you know, here's the e-commerce concept.
I'm sure there are a lot of skills like that that people need to learn. I'm wondering if maybe as Nate and I are working on the spreadsheet that we'd like to have available quarterly, maybe we could include the statistics from the NIB entrepreneurial program and just sort of follow that to see how many people were admitted, how many people graduated, what their outcomes were. I think that would be really good data to track too.
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, we're gonna try to get them another round of consumers. We're gonna put it out there again. So maybe people who had interest last time, but for whatever reason didn't want to move forward or move forward fully throughout the whole thing. We're gonna try keep trying to do it as we refine it, because again, none of this has ever been done before. So that's why, you know, it's a learning experience all around.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. And then otherwise, you know, we had a good outcomes with the reports and everything. Randolph Shepherd, it's continuing. We're having challenges because again, the office buildings, a lot of them haven't opened up. So we only have a few Randolph Shepherd vendors back out of the 27 or 28. I think there's only 3 or 4 back with any regularity. So that's a challenge. We're looking for long-term solutions there. The whole country's struggling. All of the VR agencies are really having a challenge with it because the foot traffic has been significantly altered.
Understood. Thank you for doing double duty today.
Sure.
So I wanted to move on to our next item, which was the new executive order that came out in May from Governor Baker that reconstituted the Rehabilitation Council. What it specifically did was it rescinded the 1994 executive order from Governor Weld that implemented the amendments that Congress made to the Rehabilitation Act in 1992. Of course, the Rehab Act had been passed back in the 1970s, and then with the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, there was some new thinking and new abilities and new laws. And so Congress updated the Rehabilitation Act, and the executive order implements that that law here in the Commonwealth, so that the rights and privileges that were provided nationally by Congress will sort of trickle down here to the Commonwealth. And I think that when it was done, I'm not quite sure what happened. It was 1994. Maybe people were unfamiliar with the changes. Maybe an aide was working on it. Something happened where the executive order was, it had some issues. It had omissions. There were seats that were missing. I think over the years, as the RC developed its bylaws, we followed when there were discrepancies between the executive order and the Federal Rehabilitation Act Amendment regulations. We tended to follow the federal language more closely than the state language. So the state EO was maybe a bit of an outlier in that regard. Our bylaws follow very closely what the Rehab Act amendments say. And we've kind of managed to work with that over the years. There have been some areas and some challenges where, you know, people who have been attending these meetings regularly will say, was it 15 members or is it 21 members? Or is this seat a voting seat or is the seat not a voting seat? It was sometimes a little bit unclear. And so when Governor Weld reissued the executive order in May, I was not aware it was going on. However, I do agree that it definitely needed to be updated. And I really appreciated a lot of the clarity that came out of that exercise, because it does demonstrate that that we're being heard, and that the governor does care about the 25,000 consumers in the Commonwealth who are blind. And I thought that was a step forward in the conversation. And I agree with some of the changes. For instance, I think that when we include the ex officio members, at least for the purpose of quorum, it's not quite the same situation as like a college president who's an ex officio but who never comes to a meeting. We always have our MCB representatives here, and so that to me personally kind of makes sense and does help us achieve quorum more frequently, which is good for consumers, because then we get business done like we did today, when we can actually pass the minutes and have some official conversations on the record and discuss things that are substantive, which the open meeting law would prevent us from doing if we were not meeting quorum. At the same time, there were a number of things that I saw, and I guess I felt that as the person who was in the chairperson seat at the time that this document came about, you know, we've had our old executive order for 30 years now. This was one of our significant foundational documents, and it was important for me to take a look at it closely, because it frankly did take a long time to do this comparison between 5 different legal documents, and I'm not an attorney. So I was doing my best to sort of compare and contrast what's different here, what's the same, what's an enhancement, what maybe doesn't work, what are the possible outcomes, knowing now, because we've had 30 additional years of experience with the Rehab Act, living with it every quarter as we do, we have some suggestions about things that we might add that would change it. I think for me, the concern was in some of the additional language, either words that were added, words that were omitted, passages that were slightly changed. And I guess I feel like we have important responsibilities. A few years ago, we were dealing with an order of selection. Very fortunately, that didn't come to pass, so we didn't have to go too far down that road. But in the event that the economy takes a turn and that we're not in as good of a financial situation as we are now, the Rehabilitation Council has, you know, a very important role to play in the order of selection. So when we have administrative issues, and I know people are probably very tired of hearing me drone on and on and on about the administrative issues in quorum and yada yada, because we want to get on to do our work. But when we don't have quorum, it's really more, I think, than just not being able to vote. It's also rather to vote on our minutes. It's also about not being able to vote in an official way and to have to be empowered to speak on behalf of consumers when those kinds of situations arise, and we never quite know when they will. From time to time in the past, there have been conversations about consolidation over the last 30 years. And we're, of course, a very small agency, and I know that there are consumers who would have strong opinions about that. And I think we need to think ahead over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years about future commissioners, future consumers who would be filling the seats that we're filling today on the Rehabilitation Council, future governors, and envision scenarios that might arise when we would want for this board and the agency to work cooperatively in the way that it was originally envisioned in the Rehabilitation Act. So when I see things like us not having quorum because of some appointment issues, or when I see direct gubernatorial appointments that don't go through the Rehabilitation Council, those things kind of concern me. At least it sends up a red flag for me. Not that there's anything shifty and nefarious going on, but you can imagine a future scenario in which someone wants to propose a consolidation, and if a large number of members have been directly appointed by the governor, that could influence the conversation. I think we want to sort of safeguard the feedback that consumers can provide to MCB, because our value is in bringing as many consumer perspectives to MCB as we can. And I would like to be able to have the SRC be able to provide that kind of feedback. And sometimes it's candid feedback. There may be differences in perspective between consumers and agencies, and everyone needs to be heard. So I guess when I am seeing issues like that one, and changes to what constitutes quorum, if it feels like maybe quorum could be reached on a very small number of representatives present, or if there are no representatives present, that kind of sets off a red flag for me. So that was kind of where I was coming from. That was the context in the response that I provided about the changes. I was surprised. There were some things that personally I've seen over the years that I would love to be able to try to change. I'm not sure I even know how to change some of them. I know that the Rehabilitation Act has that minimum 15 numbers, which now our new executive order agrees that those are the 15 seats that will be voting members of the board. And that's great. We can have more if we want, because we used to have 21. So now that's something that can be done. But there are some other areas, like how do we actually structurally have greater diversity? How do we have more geographic representation? How do we make sure that we have a balance between youth and like students who are coming through the internship programs, and then also be able to reflect some more senior people in the field? And how do we keep a male-female balance? And we have a sketchy little outline in our bylaws that we've tried to follow. Sometimes that works better than at others. And frankly, over the years, we haven't really met our diversity goals in the way that we want, or I think the way that the commissioner wants, and the agency wants, and the governor wants. So I wanted to have like more of an in-depth discussion about that. And we had talked a little bit with Mr. Jones in previous meetings about opening this conversation about updating the executive order, which was going to be kind of a big project. And I sort of felt like another conversation might need to happen before those conversations happened. So we were speaking, Mr. Jones and I, and you, Mr. Commissioner, in sort of more detail about individual seats and the more immediate urgency of getting those seats filled, and at the same time taking a longer view and saying, how might we change this? So for instance, one small change I would love to see would be there are some provisions that allow us to stagger our terms so that people are terming out at different points. But in my experience over the last 30 years, that has gotten so off of where it originally was. And with our board being a rather large board, and we only meet 4 times a year, we kind of got people popcorning in and out of seats as their terms begin, their terms end. It's administratively challenging to keep track of it all and to communicate that to all of the different levels of government. And it also means that we spend an awful lot of time dealing with process that could perhaps be more directly spent working on consumer issues and things that would be more directly relevant to MCB as well. So I was hoping that we might at some point be able to add something like all terms will expire on October 1st or July 1st of that year. And then we have maybe these 5 seats are going to be expiring in this year, and these 5 seats expire the next year, and these 5 seats expire a third year. And in that way, we could kind of corral all of the membership turnover to a task force that might be, or an ad hoc committee or something that could work specifically on membership for a specific period of time. And I don't know exactly how to make this work, but I'm hopeful that we can have more of a dialogue about this, and that we can take advantage of the really good things that were in the executive order, and then also keep open the dialogue about some of the things that I have some reservations about. But I think I've spoken entirely too much, and I would really like to be able to turn over the conversation to some of our other members and just gather their thoughts, because I know we've got a lot of wisdom in the room, the Zoom room, so to speak, and also to hear, Mr. Commissioner, your thoughts about what all this means.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Sure.
All right, so Regina has shared the screen here for everybody's edification. This is online. You can read the executive order 598 for reaffirming and reconstituting the RC. It's up on the screen, but she can share the link, so it's out there. So if you notice, the date of it is May 24th. If we look back, I think our RC meeting was either the 24th or the 25th. We literally got this, like, Regina, did we get it at like 6 o'clock at night, like the day before the RC meeting, if I recall?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Our meeting was June 1st.
Okay, June.
But I know that this had to have been discussed in the spring. Like, we were having active conversations about, more specific matters about individual seats in March and April. And I wish we had been included in. I
wish we had been. You were included more than I was included. Regina, did I meet with them at all?
As far as I know,
No.
they kind of just presented it to us.
Yes, they just were like, here you go. And
Yeah.
they basically presented it as, sorry, we know this has taken so much time. And we were, Regina and I and Lauren, I think, we're looking at each other like, what? So this came out of, like, literally, it says the 24th. I'm telling you, though, if we check back, we literally got it like the day before. So then during the meeting, I was like, do I bring this up? Because I don't even know what's in it. Like, we hadn't even had a chance to read it. So to tell you the truth, I think we thought that you worked this all out with them.
No, sir. We were in discussions, like you and I and Regina and Mr. Jones had a couple of Zoom meetings in the spring after we had some direct appointments. And we were reviewing the significant discrepancies between what we knew our membership list to be and membership lists from Health and Human Services that included individuals who were last here 7-8 years ago. And I think we made some good headway syncing our lists, say this person is no longer on the board, this person is no longer on the board. We identified who was still in the pipeline. I forwarded a couple of resumes that seemed to have gotten lost for nominees who had gone through the process and who had not yet heard. And I never received an invitation to
Well, I
attend the
think they
meeting to
took that and
discuss it.
ran with it and took the initiative and redid this.
I'm quite certain the governor's office, like, I know the governor's very busy as his term ends, and I know he's got hundreds of boards that he deals with. So I know he doesn't really personally have the ability to get down to the level of every ideal, but of course he is very busy and he doesn't have that capacity. So I know he must have gotten some feedback, and since the feedback that went beyond the issues that have come up regarding the membership composition, some of the other issues about quorum and so forth, those changes did not originate from us. You know where they came from?
We could put an inquiry in to try to find out.
When did, if I may ask, when did you first know about this?
Again, like, my recollection is, now this was months ago, but my recollection is the day before the last RC meeting that I was present at, which I thought was that in May? I thought it was May, but maybe it was June 1 or something.
See,
I had to go away right after that.
Our last meeting would have been June 1st, and you were in Denver at that point.
Yeah,
So
okay, so that's what it was.
So the previous meeting would have been March 2nd, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somewhere between,
Well, the date on this is, the date on the executive order is 5/24/22.
Correct. I think, well, I've said too much, so I'm going to be quiet.
I mean, if Mr. Jones was here, I think he could probably clarify for us further. Either way, we could talk about all the, how it got. Either way, having now read this, I think it does clean it up. It improves the quorum piece. And I don't know. I mean, I think it keeps the essence of what we're doing here. I don't see it as a radical departure.
Deanne, I just wanted to let you know that Naomi has her hand raised.
Yes, Naomi. Thank you.
Thanks. I think that regardless of this executive order, the SRC is operating, under what the RSA says it should be doing. And I think, one way that we could think about kind of being a more active group outside of these quarterly meetings would be around maybe creating some work groups. I know that there were some things that we found during our state plan meetings that people wanted to focus on. I think you said that there was a nomination committee or the beginnings of one, so maybe like putting that out
Tell
there
my
could
3
get
o'clock I'm
us.
gonna be late.
I'm sorry,
I'm
we are
sorry. I
running
thought
a
I
little
was
long.
muted. I apologize. I thought it was.
Sorry. Go ahead, Naomi.
I think I said what, if there are some efforts to get people to kind of work on groups outside of this, we could probably make some headway, and then these meetings could be more focused on, getting the update from MCB and kind of reporting what people are doing. And maybe we could, even if people aren't members, there's plenty of work to be done that people can participate on via committee. That's all.
Thank you. Any other comments? We do have our membership committee. It was my hope that we might be able to meet over the summer. There were about 4 volunteers to work on designing an application. I think that's something that we still need to do. I confess most of my time this summer that was RC related went into doing a comparison of the last executive order and the current one. And we only have at this point two, thank you, Regina, 2 additional seats to fill within that that original 15, although we have some folks who are going to be coming out soon, and we're aware of a couple of other changes that we need to make. So that's still an exercise that's worth doing. Any other comments?
Hi, this is Cheryl. I just wanted to, Cheryl Scott, one of the Cheryls on the meeting today. So I have not been keeping up to speed with this executive order issue. I don't know, Dan, do you think this is something that we should discuss further as a council? Is this something we should return to at the next quarterly meeting? To be honest, I have not had a chance to review the executive order, and I maybe it might, we might benefit from having members having the opportunity to kind of take a look at it and discuss it. Thank you, Regina. I was gonna suggest that someone chat out the tweet, the link to the executive order, which Regina just did.
There was a very long, about a 9-page analysis, and the link to the new executive order was contained in that email, along with the links to 4 other documents, so that people could do their own comparing and contrasting if they had the time to do that. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, that it takes a while to digest. It's kind of a long document, but that was the link was in that longer document. If that makes sense. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate the analysis that's been done. And I apologize that I have not had a chance to consume that, but based on this discussion, I definitely will. And I don't know if Deanne, if there are, like a couple of key points that we should be focused on, of areas of concern or major areas of departure from the previous versions of the executive order that we should be, that's the lens we should think about going into diving into this matter a little bit more. So I don't know if there's something specific you want us to focus on.
Yeah, there were about a dozen departures that I was concerned about, and then there are a few more that I would like to add. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint a few of them.
Okay, got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
I
definitely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's Regina. If you want me to send everybody the link separately, so you don't have to go through that long document to find the link, I can do that.
Oh, any information is good, but the analysis contains right up at the front the 5 documents that I used to do the comparison, the summary, so that people could look at the old, the new, and see the difference in the language and what was
Sounds good. And I
inserted or omitted.
Yep, I shared the link in the chat, but if anyone needs it separately, I can send it through email or yeah, anything else anyone needs.
Okay. Thank you.
Inez has her hand raised.
I would like to continue to work on this issue. I'm not comfortable with it as it is. If there are no other comments, it looks like we are approaching 3 o'clock. Is there any new business that people would like to bring up?
Deanne, I'm not sure if you I'm not sure if it's been noted, but Inez Canada had her hand raised.
I did not know. Yes, Inez.
Well, thanks. I don't want to prolong the time, but I just wanted to say I agree with a lot of the comments that you made around the changes in the executive order. And I know specifically you had asked whether the MRC SRC had a similar change because they were done back to back the last time these executive orders were done. And so far, we have not been able to find a changed one for us. But I do agree that it's probably on the way. And I also really take to heart the point that you made about including the SRC and the RC in the deliberation around this, given the experience that we've had trying to implement this order. But also the piece, especially about like choosing members without consulting the council first, because we've had many situations where we get members that come from the governor's office that has no interest in what the council actually does. And so, that makes it hard for us to then try to integrate someone into the council and have them be active participants.
Thank you. Yeah, these are some of the scenarios that can so easily happen. I mean, I think the reason that our bylaws are set up as they are is because the folks who are on this council and the commissioner are the ones who are sort of closest to the situation, who know the community well, not only individual members, but also where to find folks who might be really potentially great members who just haven't quite connected yet with MCB. And we know the skill gaps that might help us round out the board to provide a more vibrant discussion with more perspectives. And so it really is critically important that consumers and that the representatives on the board are part of that process. The direct gubernatorial appointment is really the very rare exception and not the rule. And we've had a number of these situations recently. And I think it's true that we've had some disruption because we haven't been able to vote, but it was in part a situation that was a little bit artificially created. I think had we been able to achieve that give and take on a more timely basis, more routinely throughout a longer period of time, we might not have gotten into a situation that was as challenging as it has proven to be. I'm concerned about things like the change to the definition of quorum, where it seems like quorum could be achieved if it's based only on the number of people who are then serving. Like right now, we're fortunate to to have a larger number of people, but one could imagine a situation like the kind we had only a year ago, where we had only a handful of people. And if the quorum is defined by only a subset of a subset, then getting consumer opinion about something like an order of selection, for instance, could be based on the opinions of only a very small number of people. And if those people just happen to be gubernatorial appointees that didn't go through the process, I think there are just administratively some concerns that would benefit from all of us thinking through all of the repercussions, because this is an important document that will last long after we have left. It's possible advocacy groups might have some thoughts about it. I don't know. But I was alarmed when I read it. I was more than alarmed. So if you haven't had a chance to read it and could do that just to familiarize yourself with some of the issues, that would be helpful. Thank you, Ines. Are there any other hands that are raised, Regina? I don't want to skip anyone.
Don't see any hands raised right now. No.
Okay. Is there any new business? Any consumer comments? Our next meeting is going to be December 7th, the Wednesday, from 1 o'clock to 3. And Nathan, thank you for your data, and we'll connect. And I would also like to connect with the membership committee if we can work that out between now and then. And time is 3:08. Any final thoughts, anyone?
No.
Very well. In that case, our meeting is adjourned. I hope you have a lovely fall, and we will see you in December.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your fall.